most recent live really quickly. I had a phone call with my doctor, or one of my new doctors, new providers, whatever. So I had to answer that. So I'm doing 5 stitches wide, which is what the person in the video did. And I'm looking at it, and it's a lot thinner than the yarn that I have. So I'm going to, these are both 11.5s. I'm gonna kind of see if, I think, if you had an 11.5 or like even like maybe a 15 millimeter hook, like somewhere between that size, I think you could crochet with this. I don't think you would necessarily need to do it by hand, which is comforting as the yarn is still a little scratchy. It's better than it was, but so if you didn't catch my last live, which was only about 10 minutes, I am using a yarn that I got at a thrift store because it was beautiful. It is brown with golden sparkles. Let's see. Nope, can't see that. I was inspired by. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? I mean, how could I resist? But I started using the other cone that I had to make a lost soul shawl just because I thought it would be really beautiful, and like what I was working on was turning out really nicely, but it was just so scratchy. I just didn't think anyone in the world would want to wear it, no matter what it. Hey, Lydia. No matter how good it looked, it just wasn't going to be comfortable. I thought about adding it to my Swamp Witch wardrobe, but I still just like didn't feel great about it. So I'm gonna try to make yarn out of yarn. So I'm using my knitting machine. I'm doing 5 stitches wide, which is what the video that I watched that I posted on Army of Weirdos. That's what the person who was making the video did, and the yarn is thinner than the end product is thinner than I expected, but I'm actually kind of glad because it means that someone could easily use a crochet hook for it. Now, I did 5. I'm happy enough with the look. I maybe could have gone down to 3. I kind of like to do odd numbers when I'm in panel mode. It just makes sense in my brain. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now, is making yarn out of yarn. And Crystal, Hook That Yarn, suggested that I try to sell this yarn if I made it. So we'll see how it turns out, and if anybody wants it, we can talk about price and stuff like that, and shipping and all that jazz. But I have 2 full cones, or what appear to be full cones. They didn't have labels on them, so I know nothing about the content of this yarn. All I know is it's fairly scratchy because it has quite a bit of metallic in it. It is a very gorgeous yarn, and I think that it would be beautiful in a lot of applications. It's just not really comfortable for wearing if it's going to come in contact with your skin. So that's kind of why I don't really know what to do with it, because I don't really make any items that it would be ideal for. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Under the weather with a bad head cold. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I haven't been great. This is my second live of the day, and my first live in a little while. I'm still on my break. But I'm just kind of, I have an appointment at 2, a doctor's appointment at 2, so I have to stay awake for it, and I'm really struggling to keep my energy up. My energy spoons have been depleting very quickly, and I usually have to take a nap, and normally I would have just taken a nap when I got tired, but now I have to stay up because I have this doctor's appointment at 2. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing today. And so I decided to change it up. Plus, I was like, this is going to be really boring. Should jump on live and see what's going on with people. I had a really quick live just a moment ago because I got a call from a doctor's office that I had to take, and it was longer than I expected, so I just ended the live, even though at first I just muted myself, and then I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to get off of this live because I can't really multitask in the way that I need to. This yarn doesn't move very easily, like super easily through the machine, so I can't go super fast like I would be able to with most of my yarns that I know work well with this machine. Kind of keeps getting caught on like the end peg in like a weird spot, so I have to sometimes manually go in and do that. But yeah, I can't like speed through this. Like normally I'd be like, but yeah. So that's what that is, I guess. Yeah. So my doctor is basically, so usually my doctor, when we make changes to my medication, we kind of do things one at a time, see what works. But right now we're kind of pulling a lot of levers at once because I'm in a pretty desperate situation with my mental health. So so she's being like, we're trying a bunch of things at once. Which is not her usual style. Usually she's very methodical, which I'm not saying she's not being methodical. I just think she realizes the state I'm in. And for this particular, so like we're looking at different like group therapies, and we're looking at TMS, which stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. And basically what happens with that is they take, it's basically like when you go to the hairdresser and they put you under the heat thing. It goes around your head, but it doesn't touch it. Basically, that's what it is, but it's like specifically with magnets, or that's what it looks like. But it's with magnets, and it's supposed to do something with your brain. It's FDA approved for depression, but not for bipolar. But because I'm having so many depressive symptoms, my doctor thinks it might be a good call. And it has some shown evidence of being effective for bipolar disorder. It's just not FDA approved. Which doesn't necessarily mean that it won't work. It just means that I have to be aware that it's not the designated treatment necessarily for bipolar. But we're really just kind of desperate for any kind of possible solution, which I appreciate her eagerness because I need it. I'm also on a wait list to go into another residential program. So if I do, I will be there. It's in Atlanta, and I will be there for about 2 months. I don't know their electronics policy, so I don't know if I'll even have access to the internet or my phone or YouTube. So we might take a more significant break later on, but we're just going to see what flies. Got hacked again. Not sure if I'll have another account. Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, I hate that for you, but, it doesn't, I understand that these things happen. So I'm sorry to hear that. for you, but I'm just posting a lot of shit on Facebook lately because I'm up in the middle of the night when no one's up. So I just sit there watching a bunch of like YouTube or like Facebook shorts and Instagram things and whatnot. And so the cool thing about when you use a knitting machine is when it comes straight off of the machine, it's fairly loose, and then you pull it and it stretches quite a bit. So this is what I have so far. You can see that the yarn is very sparkly. If I stretched it out, this is what it would look like. Let me try to take an end here. Where is the fold? It's so curled up. So because of the stitch that it does, it is it tends to curl pretty bad. But once it curls up, like I was saying earlier, I think you might be able to get by with an 11.5 millimeter hook, which is the largest hook I personally have. I think, yeah, I think so. I might have one bigger somewhere, but I don't know. I had this like really big blue one, but I don't know where that is right now. Another one. Yeah, I had a really big blue one, and I think that might have been a 15 millimeter, and I think that that would be perfect for this. But you could also hand knit or hand crochet with this. If I wanted to sell this yarn or use this yarn, I could do it. But because it's just like so scratchy, I don't quite know what to make with it. And I really want to put it to use because it's such a beautiful yarn. I have two full-ish cones of this color, and then I have a like probably about half a cone of a gold version that's gold with gold metallic in it. So I'm excited to see what can be made with this because I don't, I tend to stay away from really thick yarns right now because my wrist pain, and thicker yarns just tend to aggravate my wrist quite a bit more, but sometimes it's worth it if you're getting cool stuff out of it. So we'll see. Let me see how this works. Now I'm having some my yarn isn't going where I need to. It's not. Kind of got stuck at the end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start I'm gonna hand do this. Make sure that this is kind of out of the way. Go up. This is where a latch hook would be helpful, although typically those are quite a bit larger in the head, although there's different sizes and whatnot. So I'm going to take this particular one and I'm going to just going to pull this yarn completely out of the way for right now. Okay, I think I didn't do it perfectly, but I think it's good enough to hold. And then I'm going to make sure that it goes under that put and go through past it, and we should be on the road again. Like I said, this isn't the most cooperative yarn I've used on my machine, so I've got to kind of take my time with it, unfortunately. Because it would be nice to just jam the sucker out, but it is not quite like that. So when you're doing the panel mode, you might notice some slight changes, in especially like around the edge, where if your tension changed at all. But this is what it looks like so far. I think it looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. Honestly, I kind of wish I had like an I-cord maker, because I think this would be really cool around like the wire letters and stuff. Not that I would be good at that, but like, more possibilities, right? My brain just like stopped working. It went offline. But if you try to keep your tension relatively consistent, and going 3 paths does really make a huge difference in helping you maintain that tension, so you don't have to manually go and make sure it's under that red notch after the pin. It does make a big difference. It makes it a lot smoother. You get more consistent results. Are you making anything right now, Lydia? One thing is, when I do stretch out my yarn that comes out of the machine, I try to make sure I'm not on like one of the end pins, because I don't want that to change my tension. I usually try to make sure I'm in like the middle of my project, or just far enough away that I can pull the yarn tighter and not have it potentially pop loose one of the stitches on the end, or do something crazy, because we don't want that. We just want consistent yarn throughout the entire length of it, just so it's easier to use, because roving yarn is great, but this isn't exactly what people are looking for in a roving style. So what I'm gonna do is, this one also got bunched up, I think. Wait, is that one or two? It's just one, actually. Okay. There should be. Not right now, I've been under the weather. Totally understand. I've been like, the projects that I wanted to do, that I had started, I really am having a hard time finishing those, and I'm trying to put stuff out on my other channel that is a little bit lower energy, that I don't have to be productive for. Or like, I can take breaks when I need to, and it's not a big deal. I don't have to be like on all the time. Lives are really exhausting, and I just don't have the energy to do a lot of it right now. think that's maybe one thing that like was harder to explain to people is like I might still do videos, I might not, I don't know, but like I need to like put my oxygen mask on right now and take care of my mental health because it's been so bad, my mental and physical, because the sleep has definitely been a huge factor in my mental health. And for a while there, like right when I stopped, I was like basically sleeping all day. I would sleep like 18 hours a day. I would just wake up for food. I would be up all night. Uh, and then like from like midnight to like 6 a.m. and then I would go to sleep and sleep all day. And like obviously that's not great for your body and your mind. You start to get really turned around there. So I'm glad my sleep is like more regulated now, which I know might seem crazy if you've seen my posting schedule or whatever. But honestly, like a lot of like the good thing about doing the pre-recorded videos is I can release them at a time where like people are more likely to watch them rather than doing something at a crazy hour in the morning, which people tend to be asleep at that time, understandably. So the Ambien is like kind of hit or miss for me. It really depends on how tired I am. Because if I'm not tired, the Ambien does nothing, and which is pretty disappointing after all of the things I've heard about Ambien over the years. People talk about like, people playing the Ambien game and like it'll make them pass out, or they like, you know, have all these crazy experiences. And like for me, it's like I sometimes I take it and it literally has no effect on me, like at all. And it's just really difficult because it kind of fucks with my brain when I'm like tired. I wait till I'm tired to take my sleep medicine because if I'm not tired, there's no way that the sleep medicine will work. That's just how my body works. Some people, they can not be tired, take sleep medicine, and then they can go to sleep. But for me, I have to be tired. Otherwise, there's just not a chance that it will kick in and work like it's supposed to. I'll just stay up all night and won't be able to take any additional sleep medicine. So I took an Ambien last night. Nothing. I've been up since midnight, and now I'm really tired, but I have to do this phone call with my doctor, with my therapist, my new therapist. So I just kind of like, I don't know. I'm a mess right now, and it's really annoying and unfortunate to deal with because I just want to be back to kind of my normal, grumpy, but like relatively productive self. And I am just in this place where I'm really struggling with being like consistently productive and being able to consistently get sleep. I love that satisfying stretch you get once you stretch out the yarn. It's so good. So here we are. This is what the yarn looks like. I mean, you can't tell me that it's not gorgeous. Honestly, like, this could be, like, really cool. Like, a really cool, just, like, jewelry, kind of, like, layered thing to go on. That would be awesome. Lots of options there. I originally bought this for the Swamp Witch look, and I was making a shawl with it, and for me, it just, like, even though it would be over another shawl, For my aesthetic, I like still um, uh, it just was so scratchy that I just was like, I'll never be comfortable in this. And then when I saw that video, I was trying to think of a yarn that I could use, and I have some. I mean, I have a bunch of different value colors and schemes that I haven't quite known what to do with. But for this, I just like I really don't know what to do with it. So, and I don't even think I would like to crochet with it alone because I think just how thin it is. I mean, it's like a thick 3 or a thin 4, and just with how much metallic is in it, I think I would really scratch myself. Uh, I worked on my secret project very early this morning, so if you want to watch another live after this, I was working on my project. You could see my brain like melting in real time because I was struggling with counts. Um, I am working on this project right here, and it doesn't look like much right now, and there's a bunch of ribbon kind of hiding all my crochet work. But basically, it's kind of like it's the bottom of a dress. I'm making a doll, and I am writing a pattern for it so that I could hopefully sell the pattern. And um, I I just like my counts were so off, and I was like, why do I have this many stitches? I had like 4 too many stitches or something like that, and had to like frog like 3 or 4 rows, which was annoying. Uh, but worth it because I ultimately got back to where I needed to get to. I didn't have to frog the part with so it's crocheted, and then there's ribbon woven throughout it. So like you can see the bottom is crocheted, but then there's this like ribbon that kind of goes through it. I wanted to give the effect of like tulle. Um, because that's what the character is wearing that I'm trying to make a doll out of. And I don't think everyone will get the reference, but if you get the reference, I think you will appreciate the attempt at detail that I'm going to try to get. Um, I've only seen one other person with a pattern for this doll, but they did kind of a more general um, just plushy, whereas I'm trying to do more of like a figure, like figurine type thing where I put a lot of detail into it and I try to make it as accurate to the character as possible. So, so yeah, that's what I'm doing there. And I haven't, one of the things is I've been keeping it a secret for so long that when I'm not on camera, I tend to not be as productive and I have a harder time working on things. I'm much slower. So, so I think that part of me going live and working on it was just so I would actually try to fucking work on it for the first time in a while. But writing patterns is hard, especially when you're freehanding everything. You're just like, oh my gosh, please. And I've never really made a doll like this. I'm using a 1-weight yarn. It's the Hobie 8-4 rainbow cotton, and it's awesome, but like, man, the thin yarn is just so hard to use. And I originally started with using my Furls Odyssey, and I can't find that Odyssey right now, and the handle is much bigger because it's a Furls, but so it's much more comfortable to crochet with tiny yarn. But because I couldn't find it, I had to go down a hook size and use a clover, a more hook, which isn't terrible, but my hands do start to hurt a lot faster with it. with the tiny little stitches that it makes. So I kind of wish that I just had my furls, and I just joined a furls like trade by looking for whatever hook group on Facebook. And so, but like the people who are selling Odysseys are selling them for like $50, which like is not the price that I think they were maybe 35 when they had them, and now they're gone. So people are taking advantage of the fact that they're no longer being sold, and they're selling them for a lot more money, which I don't really have to spend. And I don't think I'm gonna be. I mean, I think I have a lot of 8-4. What do I have? I know I have some 8-8, but I think I got 8-4 to make some other designs. I don't know. Either way, it is pretty brutal on the hands. I started to get some like kind of friction rubs on my finger. I tried the tape technique where you put a piece of tape over where the yarn, you like grip your yarn, but I found it really hard to move my fingers in the way that I need to be able to kind of get the right thing. So my tension got all fucked up, and I was crocheting super, super, super tight. And I was like, I did like basically half a row, and I was like, no, this is not what's up. I'm just trying to do anything to stay awake, because I know the minute that I like stop working, I'm just gonna fall asleep, and I gotta stay awake just an hour and a half more. So I'm not gonna be on that long. I'm already really tired of talking and being social. Pretty burnout. If you have, so I did a yarn haul on my other channel, and then I also did I've done a couple knitting machine tutorials. So if you have a knitting machine or you can knit, then you might enjoy watching the tutorials. If you do knit, like hand knit it, oh yeah, I saw that you got, or that you won a rainbow furls, right? That's super cool. They're pretty much my favorites. I just like having my furls in different colors, because I like to just like, I mean, I can't buy like a whole collection of one thing. I'm saving myself for the Scorpio collection, and I'm hoping that that's super cool and not super ugly. Otherwise, I will be so disappointed. But I think I'm going to try to buy all of those in sizes that I actually use. Like, I don't think I will use a 7mm ever, so I'm not going to get that or whatever. But all the sizes that I use, I'm going to try to get the Scorpio collection whenever it drops, which will be a lot of money, but yeah, I like to have them in different colors. I don't buy a lot in the same color because it's a lot harder to distinguish. I got to pull them out. Sometimes it's hard, depending on the hook, to see what size it is. So, yeah, but I would like to have an Odyssey hook that's the right size. But if I'm not going to be making a lot of stuff in this size, then I don't really need something that small. We'll see. I have to check the size of the... I got the 8 packs or the 10 packs of like a couple different varieties of the colors. So I'll have to see what those are, because obviously I want to use those. And I moved from a 2.75 to a 2.25, which is from a C to a B. And I actually really like the 2.25 a lot better, and how it looks and how much polyfill shows through. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to stick with that size, even if I find my other hook, just because it looks a lot better and I don't really want to have things showing through. I think that'll shatter the illusion of having like a figurine. But we'll see. This machine does not like this yarn. I can't blame it, because it's pretty rough. Okay, so now that I'm in the middle, I'm going to stretch the yarn a little bit. So I've been on here like almost 40 minutes. So this is what it's looking like. You can see that it's got this really cool tube look to it, but it's actually just a curled piece. So for this, if you do hand knit, so the machine makes stockinette, which means you knit and you purl and you knit and you purl, and so that's what you do. You alternate every other row, and that makes this type of fabric. Although, I mean, it would definitely give a different texture. The texture looks a lot different if you just use like the garter stitch, which means you just knit everything or you just purl everything. So just be kind of mindful of that. But I have put a couple knitting machine tutorials on my other channel if you want to check them out. But I did a Joanne haul, which started kind of on this channel. I might crochet with it, I might sell it. It really just depends on if anyone's interested in it, because I have like some ideas of what I would do with it, but I definitely don't need as much yarn as I have. So it just kind of depends on if anybody wants it, because I'll sell it if people want it. Because I have 2 almost full cones of this this particular yarn. So I might crochet with it. I might hand knit or crochet with it. Or I might sell it. It just really depends. I mean, I think someone who's like more creative or just better at this particular thickness of yarn might be able to do some really cool stuff with it. But I just don't really know what to do with it. Okay, so if I'm looking right here, my stitch came off. I need to rescue it before shit goes south. You gotta really pay attention, especially when you're doing panels, to make sure that you are getting the right stitches and whatnot, because it can go south really fast. Okay, I think I picked up that stitch properly, so it doesn't look too bad. Still on the machine, so that's a good sign. Didn't just fall off. Sometimes shit happens like that. I've gotten a lot better at the knitting machine. I was really bad for a long time and basically could only make beanies, and even then it was kind of like hit or miss. But now I'm able to do panels. Just pretty much only the growth that I've had. I haven't really been able to master the like color changes that aren't like big long stripes. The color changes that are like Fair Isle and stuff like that, where they change pretty quickly. I can't seem to get that. I've tried so hard, and it just ends up in a mess for me every time. So lots of frothing. I wish I was using an easier yarn. But I need to get rid of, or I need to transform this somehow so it's a little bit easier to use. I think this will definitely help. I have a lot of confidence in this yarn's ability to be transformed into be something better. So my throat is getting pretty dry, and even though I know I said I want to stay on here as long as possible to try to keep myself from going to sleep, I really don't. I really don't have any more strength to keep going with this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a day with this yarn. As you can see, I still have pretty much a full cone of this. So this is going to make a lot of yarn, which I'm super excited about. I believe it's called a nitty knotty or something like that. And it was suggested to me by Crystal of that yarn, and it can help you measure the amount of yarn, because I was like, if I sell it, I want to know like the yardage so that I can tell people, because I don't know how much this is, and even if I did know how much this is, I don't know what it would translate to with this. So this is what I've ended up with thus far. It's cool. It is less scratchy this way than it was before. Um, so so yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results. It's definitely changed the yarn quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.